Oh, poopy. Got to plug in the mic. Oh, well, apologies for the audio then. But let's get into it, shall we? So, why the Republican Party will not be abolished? And I think I'll put this in quotes just to make sure here. I'm going to put not a defense. There we go. There we go. Not a defense. Because I'm not defending the Republican Party in any way, shape, or form. I don't care. Neither the Republican Party nor the Democratic Party represents me, I would say. And I think that people of my age, younger, some older, realize that neither party really speaks for them. You know, the Republicans ultimately stand for keeping, they're both parties that want the status quo. I guess, I mean, you could broadly say that, oh, well, the Republican Party influenced the January 6th insurrection. The truth is, if we want to try to be good faith about this and try not to be partisan, is that it came from a group of mostly Trump voters. That doesn't necessarily mean straight on Republican, but I know in the large swaths of things they'll say, yes, it does mean Republican. I know. But broadly speaking, that does not mean Republican. There were some libertarians as well. Are you going to smear the Libertarian Party and say they need to be abolished too? You don't need to, though, because the Libertarians are not a viable party. They embarrass themselves at every turn. So even if they were legitimate, and even if they got above 1% of the vote, what would they, and apart from local elections, what would they get? But anywho, beyond that, the idea that you want to blame the Republican Party completely is one of those let's paint with a broad brush sort of things, I know. Blame Josh Hawley, blame Ted Cruz. Yes. They said they supported it, and then they turned their backs on it, and they said, it's because they're full of shit. What else is new? Wow. You mean politicians are full of shit? It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican? Yeah, broadly speaking, the Republicans are just trying to save face. The thing is, I really don't understand this immense amount of fear-mongering towards what happened on January 6th. I'm going to say this again, and I want to make sure I'm clear. It was fun on the day. It was exciting. If you felt any sort of dissident feelings towards this government, you felt excited. But the videos started to come out, the footage started to come out, and we saw that nothing serious happened. It was all LARP. It was all, virtue signaling. There's no substance there, much like just like online politics today. A lot of fluff without much substance. Probably me included, I'll be honest. But we had the gallows, or we had the rope ready to hang Mike Pence. We had the folks with the zip ties who are coming down and everything. Nothing happened, though. Nothing occurred. The only footage that a lot of folks saw, and I'm sure that people have other footage, is the footage of the LARPer trying to look like a Native American with the American flag face paint, who's now, that guy's going away. He's never going to see the light of day, in my opinion. We saw them just sitting down in the chairs, just vibing, bro. That's all they were doing. And of course, Ashley Babbitt got killed. Nobody says a word about Ashley Babbitt, though. Like I say, feel as you want to. I know that there was a conspiracy theorist who said, well, Babbitt is a Jewish name, this and that. And it's just like, look, I'm not even going to sit here and deny that, but what are you going to do about it? And of course, these conspiracy theory types, I have very, very little respect for because ultimately they want to change nothing. They want to keep people trapped in a little box and say, this is what you're allowed to criticize, and this is how you're allowed to do it. That's my opinion of conspiracy theorists in a nutshell. But anywho, I've ranted and raved on that enough. But let's get to the meat of the issue. Why won't the Republican Party be abolished? Because it keeps enough boomers in line. And it keeps them within a relatively gregarious box as well. They keep them in a box. Once the Republican Party becomes irrelevant in terms of voting, once that occurs, then then you're going to get regionalism. You're going to get, you're going to get folks that are just more outright racist. I know people say, "Oh, but the Republicans are already outright racist." Blah, 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 blah. I know. But the thing is, though, they can be even more outright and just start saying, some wild shit. We'll just put it that way. Whatever that may be, whether it's about black folks, whether it's about, migrants, whether about whatever, right? They'll just
need to get in the shower first.
Okay.
Also, there's a plate on the table you need to take care of.
What plate?
You'll see it when you look at the table.
Let me see.
Back it up.
I will get in the shower in a little bit, not right this minute, though. I normally go at 8:30. Thank you. All right. Edit. Okay. So these are some of the reasons why the Republican Party will not be abolished. Now, the Electoral College, I believe, will be abolished. I do. Which will ironically lead to more balkanization and the calls for accelerationism. Because once you get rid of the Electoral College, the mirror, the mask that is, American democracy, this idea that we all have a, vote and everything else like that. Once the Electoral College is gone and it's merely based on numbers, is it California? I know people say that a lot. I know Republicans and everybody else. Yeah. But California and various counties are going to sway the vote far more than other states. And they're going to say, why should Montana have the same amount of votes as California? Well, the idea is that maybe you want to try to at least give the idea that you're representing all the people, not just a portion of people. But of course, once now we're going to have real democracy. Beforehand, we at least had some sort of idea that we give a shit about all the people. But now we're going to go for mob rule. It's basically more of, well, if we can influence, instead of politicians and instead of, presidential candidates going to places like Montana, Wyoming, this and that, they're going to spend more time in California. They're going to spend more time in New York. They're going to spend more time on the coasts in general. And these other places will be ignored. Wyoming, I'm going to repeat Wyoming, I don't know why, but Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, the middle America, the flyover states, the jokes that we always make, these states will be forgotten. Every 4 years, at least, politicians and more specifically, presidential candidates will at least give lip service to these states. Now, without the Electoral College, the pretense of us giving a shit about you is gone. We're going to worry about Orange County in California. We're going to worry about Los Angeles County. We're going to worry about wherever else. We're going to worry about Harris County, which I believe, I want to make sure here. We have 254 counties. I think it's, Harris County, Texas. That's Houston, by the way. We're going to worry about, we're going to worry about Harris County. We're going to worry about Tarrant County. We're going to worry about Dallas County in Texas. We're not going to bother with these other states. Oklahoma, goodbye. We're not going to bother. At least that's my view. Maybe that's being somewhat paranoid, but that's what's going to occur with that. But the Republican Party, and I think that, like I said, this goes to show, the level of ineptitude. Well, not even ineptitude. Let me back up on that. It goes to show just how, when it comes right down to it, you can have all the arguments in the world about various things, but ultimately, politicians want to keep up the status quo. So they can claim to dislike Republicans all day, but when it comes to getting rid of the Republicans, they know if they got rid of the Republicans, then they would have a more extreme right-wing party, an outright extreme. I know people will say, oh, well, Republicans are extreme, this and that. That's a matter of opinion, about what extreme is. Some people say it's moderate, but, you're going to have places that are forgotten, Remember, there's a reason why they had to get rid of Huey Long. There's a reason why. People can go ahead and say, oh, well, Huey Long wasn't a threat, everything else. But the thing is, though, he was probably much more engaging a person than even Bernie Sanders was. Or is, well, was basically, because Bernie Sanders is, given whatever spirit he has left to Joe Biden because he's just a wuss. But anywho, there's a reason why. Now, after Huey Long's death, the Long family still had a long, checkered history in Louisiana politics. But they existed. Anywho, I just think that, the Republican Party, let me go back to the main point, because I like to go off on these tangents, but the Republican Party will not be abolished because they need people to stay in a certain place. And MAGA peds, to be honest with you, threaten that. Now, eventually there will be a purge, and I think that there is talk of, people like Liz Cheney, of course, people have brought up over the months. Liz Cheney can go ahead and say what she wants, but we're going to see what happens. I think that there's going to be a push to decide where things go. But I still don't think that the Republican Party, at least in its current form, is going to be abolished. I really don't, or made irrelevant. Because they need people to stay in that little zone. They need them to stay in that respectable politics zone. You know? Anywho, I think that's all I have to say on that. See you later. Goodbye.